Alright guys, I bought this old Sargent on eBay a couple of weeks ago with every intention of picking it, but unfortunately, it looks like this thing was used outside for quite a while. We got a rusted shackle, there's a lot of corrosion here, and when I did try to pick it, there's at least 3 of the pins that either are completely seized up or the springs are rotted. A lot of times they had steel springs, and when they got wet, they just decomposed inside of the lock. So when that happened, you're not going to have too much luck with it. But when you look at this, because of this old patina and aging of this brass body, you notice there's a pin right there that really shows up. Might not show up when it's new, but it certainly shows up now. What I'm thinking is if I take a brass punch so that I don't mar it, perhaps I can punch that out. We can pull this complete core out. We can clean it up. We can put new pins and springs in it, put everything back together like almost new, and at least keep this thing in circulation amongst the lock sport community, passing it around. So that means I got to find some tricky pins. Before we do that, though, we got to get it open. So let's see what happens when we punch out that pin. All right, guys, that little pin popped out of there fairly easily. No damage to either the pin or the lock body on either side. So I'm thinking perhaps I can even recycle this. Maybe, of course, I'll put some epoxy on it before I put it back in there. You can see all the way through there, but the plate doesn't come off the bottom, unfortunately. And I can feel it moving now, but when I jiggle it and I put my finger right there on the shackle, I can feel the shackle moving as well. So somehow the bottom plate and the shackle are attached. So perhaps when this thing is locked, it's designed so that you can't remove the bottom plate, which makes perfect sense from a security standpoint. But that means we got to get it open. And with 3 of the pins rotted in place or springs bad or whatever has gone wrong inside of there, I can either wrap it open or perhaps shim it open. And I'm looking at, there's a little bit of a gap. I might be able to shim. Let's try it. We'll try it. So let me find a good shim. That's about right, I think. Let's see if we can squeeze him in here. I might have anti-shim on it, which would not be good for us. Yeah, I think it probably does. Not being cooperative. Let's try it from this side, see if we can roll it around. There we go. All right, we got that side. Let's try it. Ah! I won't need that second shim after all. All right. Now when I look in here, that looks like a flathead screw. So why don't I see if I can take that out? Maybe that has to be removed before the bottom comes off. So, find a right size screwdriver. Nice and loose, if that's a screw. Yes, it is. Now here comes the shackle. The shackle is coming down from the bottom as well. There are our pins, and you can see there's a lot of... No, that's not the pins. They must have drilled it from this side because the Bible is actually on this side. All right, let me figure out how to get past this point. There's probably a way to defeat this, but I don't see that I'll be able to remove a screw or anything. Let me figure out how to get that shackle out of there, and then we can pull this body out. I'm going to do it slowly so I don't do any damage. I know how that will irritate so many of you. Let me take my time and figure this out. All right, got it successfully. Wasn't a heck of a lot to it. There is a little spring-loaded locking pawl. You can see it better from this side, and when I shimmed that, it pushed it out of this little groove and allowed me to take this right out of the top. And once the shackle was removed, the internal lock body came right out. So now it looks like we got to take a couple more screws out. Let me go ahead and remove this guy. And that's about my only option. Let me take that off of there and see what is underneath it. And we got to get at these pins inside of here in order to repin this thing. All right, guys, I loosened that little screw and I'm able to lift the actuator right off of there. So let me just set that aside. What we're facing next looks like is there's a little plate right here. And there's this little screw holding it in place. And it slides right through the core right there. And I believe that little plate prevents the core from just simply sliding out when the key unlocks it. That's just a limiting plate. So let me take that out of there because I'm probably not going to be able to pick this. So I've got to figure out another way to get in there. And I think I'll be able to shim it from the back side. So let's take that screw out real quick. Let's move this out of the way. A lot of moving parts on this. This is definitely not a mass production lock. Takes some serious hand assembly. Okay, so let's take that out and slide out. I guess it comes out that way. I'm going to keep that little screw right with it because this is all going back together. All right, now the core is free. Now I believe I'm going to have to try to get a shim. I'm going to get some cleaner, some brake cleaner, clean this off real well, and try to slide a shim down that little crack. And I'm going to strike this with a hammer several times to knock all the pins down. Maybe I'll get one shot to shim this thing from the back side. Let me give that a try, see what happens. All right, I got that cleaned up real nice. I actually soaked it in some WD-40 and then cleaned it off with brake cleaner. And now the core is actually moving inside of it. Really good sign. I also have a key, but what I noticed, there's definitely something wrong inside of there. This is a 6-pin key. It's a 5-pin lock. I'll figure something out. I intend to use this key to rekey it, but it gets about that far in. There's definitely something jammed up in that keyway. Doesn't matter. Let's shim it open and see what we can do with it. All right, I cut a little V in there so that it'll stay centered on the pins. I have wrapped it several times with a rubber mallet on the top here to try to jostle those pins loose. Looks like that will work. So let me find a rake. Doesn't matter which one we use. I'm going to try something with a lot of rise in it. Try this guy from Tool. And slide him in the keyway on the other side. See if we can rake something loose. Come on, baby. In fact, I could probably rake him from the back here. There's something still stuck in there. I can see through the keyway, so there's nothing jammed in there. Let me turn this sideways, a little easier for you to see. I am not even past that last pin. All right, I got past number 5. It's pinching. All right, it must be stuck, so I'm going to pull him back out a little bit and let that pin 4 reset, reapply pressure with my finger, and then see if we can rake past him. There we go. There's the next one. We might have it. Nope, I think we got one more. Come on. There it goes. I believe now. No, we are so close. Maybe one more. Dang it. All right, let me pull it back. We'll try it, reset that last pin. Let him go back, try it again. No luck. All right, so we have most of them shimmed. So what I'm going to do now is that I believe it's that last pin. Let's be sure. What I'm going to do is just hold up another shim here, and yeah, so we have one pin right up in the very front that's not picked. So I'm going to put them in here like this, and I'm going to try to pick a 1-pin lock. I'm going to try to pick just the last pin. The rest of them remain shimmed. And since it's the very first pin, I'm just going to try this guy. I'm not too worried about trying to reach far back in there. And okay, it appears picked, but it looks like maybe this one picks only in the counterclockwise. That one definitely will not. Oh, there it goes. It does turn. That thing is really stuck. All right. Let us see. Let me set them down here. Get the camera down here a little bit. Get rid of our shim. And I'm just going to, let's go ahead and find a follower. All right, it is a 6-pinner, so these don't look too bad. These don't look bad at all. So it was master keyed. We have some master wafers in there. There's another one right there. Look a little bit like a serration. Oops, sorry about that. But there are 4 master wafers. So we have a master keyed padlock. I don't see any weirdness in here that would have prevented us from opening it. And these 2 guys already fell out because I pulled at it. That was not part of the plan, but find my tweezers. What do you do with the tweezers, Bill? There we go. Right there, right in front of you. Not too bad. A lot of goop on him, though. This one has no pin in him. I don't know if he's in the very bottom or what on chamber 3. Let's try to dump it out. Okay, there's the first. There's 3 springs. Okay, chamber 4 had no key, no pin, and I can't understand that. That's impossible if this lock was ever used, and it surely was. All right, let's keep going. Chamber 4. All right, I just pulled. It looks like chamber 4 and chamber 5 are just stuck in place back there. Give you a better look from this side. Come out, come out. Okay, we got some mashed up springs. Definitely been compressed for a lot of years. All right, well, we have a 6-pin core and a 5-pin lock. I think I can make something of this. I think this key, if I can get it to go in now, we'll get this thing to work. And it won't go in, darn it. The core's pinched somehow or another. Yep. Darn it. All right, tell you what I'm going to do. It's still pickable. This is still salvageable. We won't have a key for it. I'm going to pin it up as a challenge lock, and we will keep this thing circulating. Let me go ahead and figure out some pinning, get some new springs, discard all this old rotten garbage, and see what we can make of this thing. All right, guys, let me show you what I did to this. First of all, the core was compressed a little bit, so I did take a screwdriver and I pried it back apart. There seems to be plenty of room in there now. I am not going to try to fit that key to it. There's plenty of room in there for picking. I did take some time to thread a couple of those chambers, so that's going to be kind of neat. And then I also obviously chose some pretty nice pins. I may even have let that tap slip and thread a few of these all the way through the body. I just don't remember. In terms of pinning, here's what you're going to be facing if you're unlucky enough to get this lock. A lot of these pins you've seen before. I love these guys. These ASA pins, these are really difficult and nice sharp edges. This is one of my very few jingle pins. I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but this is actually a spool, and those 2 discs in the center actually move up and down on the shaft. So I call it a jingle pin because when you shake it, it does jingle a little bit. Very cool pin, very difficult to pick. We got some ABUS serrateds. I do have some threaded chambers, as I said. We got a couple of, well, we have one barrel pin, another homemade serrated. This is an old Ruco pin. I call these Christmas tree pins. Very cool. I got a torpedo in there just to add a little bit of different flavor. Another one of these nasty guys. And then another ABUS serrated. That is what you're going to be facing. And I can tell you for sure there are some threaded ones in there. I'm going to put all of it back together. I am going to manage to salvage this old Sargent. It's going to look like an old, rusty, quite aged, innocent-looking lock from the outside. But on the inside, we're definitely going to have some alien tech. If you think you're up to trying this lock, drop me an email. First email asking for it, we'll get it. Anyway, guys, appreciate your time. Stay safe. Stay legal. It's nice to keep one of these in circulation, isn't it? Thanks, guys. All right, everything back together. It didn't come out too bad. You can tell I monkeyed with it, but that is epoxied in place. I don't believe that's going to come out of there anytime soon. Won't be quite as easy to get apart next time. This may be the last time that lock is seen in the open position. Let's find out. All right, guys, waiting for your emails.